And we start with breaking news. The High Court in Johannesburg today granting a forfeiture order related to assets that belong to Maumela. The order follows a preservation order that was granted by the court on the 14th of August last year. It's related to property owned by alleged syndicate members. The assets valued at about 326 million rand include high-end residential properties in expensive or affluent areas, as well as a number of luxury vehicles. The investigation followed a report from the late Babita Deokaran, a whistleblower in the Gauteng provincial government who was assassinated back in August 2021. Deokaran had detailed suspected procurement irregularities at the Tembisa Hospital in supply chain management. The NPA's asset forfeiture unit applications followed forensic investigations into those claims of procurement fraud as well as corruption at the hospital recorded between January 2019 and August of 2022. The investigation found multiple irregularities in those processes, with manipulation in the awarding of contracts for the supply of goods or services at Tembisa Hospital. Now, the so-called Maumela syndicate, the alleged syndicate, is believed to have received the lion's share of those ill-gotten gains. Let's get you more on this now. Speak to the spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority. That's Kaizer Kganyago, joining us on SABC News. Mr. Kganyago, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. So legally then, what does this order that you've been granted today change? What does it mean?
Thank you very much, and thank you to your viewers. What it means is, if you remember last year in August 2025, we got an order to preserve the assets, which meant at the time that because we were busy with the investigation and finalizing certain things, we didn't want these assets to be dissipated. Therefore, we freeze them so that they cannot use them. And then today we approach the court to say we now want to forfeit them to the state. And that is why today we are talking about a final forfeiture order, wherein those things, those properties are now, as we speak, belonging to the state, and therefore we are now going to monetize them.
What does that mean? Explain that in layman's terms, now that they're now the property, shall I say, for want of a better word, of the state. So what do you do with them now?
What we're then going to do is we're going to put them onto an auction. And then once we are done with that, and that will be money, that money will then be taken to the criminal asset fund, which is the Kara fund, where they will be then reinforced and used, reinforced for the Department of Health in Gauteng, so that they can then apply to Kara fund to have this money used. Because we didn't want to take it back to them because they might just misuse it again. Therefore, we then said it must be in Kara, but reinforced, so that when they need something, they must apply and clearly indicate what is it that they are going to do with the money, and then the money can be given to them.
And when this process happens, typically, Mr. Kganyago, is the ambition, the hope that you'll be able to recoup, let's say, the entire 326 million, or are you happy with just a portion? Because that then perhaps gives you and I an opportunity to run through that list, because you've got these properties in affluent parts of the country. You've got high-end vehicles such as Lamborghinis also on this list as well?
Yeah, we want to get the whole amount, obviously. But because these matters are going to go on an auction, it will be the highest bidder we will bid. And then if we get almost next to that amount, that will be fair to us.
And in terms of the strength of the case itself, you and I have spoken multiple times from when the process around Hangwani Maumela specifically began. Has the case and the weight of the evidence against him, has there been any change in that at all? Is it a stronger case to prove his guilt at the moment that you have?
Obviously, it is, but that is a different matter, because in NPA, we've got the asset forfeiture unit, and that's where we deal with the recoveries. But then we have got the specialized commercial crimes unit that is working with the Hawks in this matter, where they are looking at the criminal side of things. They have indicated to me that that process is still happening, because the SCCU is guiding that investigation based on the evidence that we have. Because what we're trying to do here is to say the asset forfeiture unit, as indicated even the statement by the part where we are quoting the NDPP, to say this is a tool, the asset forfeiture, where we want to make sure that we take that money from the said people so that they do not use the same money to fight the state. Therefore, we disable them by taking the money back, but also follow them criminally through the SCC unit and the Hawks.
On the latter part, then, the criminal action, as far as Maumela is concerned, I mean, in your statement talking about the order granted today for forfeiture, you talk about how there's been this collaboration across offices within your infrastructure. From those conversations, are you able to give us an assessment of whether or not we're likely to see an arrest in Maumela's case anytime soon?
I can't talk about anytime soon, but I can say as soon as they are done with the investigation. You must remember, when they deal with the criminal side, they've got to prove beyond reasonable doubt, and they are just doing exactly that with the investigation. Because with that part, if you get it wrong and you arrest people and then they are acquitted because you don't have enough evidence with you, you cannot try them again. Therefore, you'd rather wait, get it rightly done, rather than rush it in order to get it fumbled later on.
So broadly then, in terms of the broader issues related to the Tembisa Hospital and the sort of widespread alleged corruption that we are told took place there, exposed ultimately by Babita Diokran, but there have been subsequent investigations pointing, in fact, to millions more rands that are alleged to have been stolen by these syndicates. Where the other syndicates are concerned, the alleged syndicates, I should say, is there progress on those investigations that we might see imminently?
No, there is. We are dealing with that, and all the other two, I think, the one of the Govan Raji syndicate and the Mazibuko syndicate, we are looking at them also. And as far as Mazibuko says one, we are very far, and the matter might be coming to court very soon to deal with the forfeiture on that side also.
Kaizer Kganyago, spokesperson for the NPA. Good to have your time as always. Thank you.